Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 166, Father and Child. Theodore POV. My world shattered. The illusion that my child would always be safe and healthy was proven just to be an illusion. I couldn't do anything to stop it from happening. The heart monitor that didn't work. The doctor that almost announced my son's death. The touch of his lifeless body became a recurring nightmare for me. I couldn't do anything to stop it. I almost lost my son. By some cosmic miracle, he managed to wake up, but my nerves couldn't relax. What should I do if he falls into that state again? What should I do if I didn't manage to get him the proper help he needs? What if the next time this happens, he won't wake up again? The debt I have on him kept gnawing at my heart. The debt of not being there during his most difficult times of his life. I was a useless dad. A drunk. An alcoholic. I ran away from reality on my own, leaving behind my son alone facing the tough times. A child who lost their parents is an orphan. Spouses who lost their partner are widows. But what was the word to call a parent who lost their child? Nothing. Because there are no words that could describe the pain. Ted, wake up, . My dad shook me out of my nightmare. I was startled and quickly raised my body and sat on the bed. My entire body was wet from the sweat, and I was huffing my breath. I turned to look at my father slowly, and I saw a concerned look on his face. We should talk, my dad said. I shook my head slightly and said, no. I need to dash. Ed is fine. He's sleeping. He's not doing anything, my dad said in a calming manner. You, on the other hand, you need to get some help. That was the memory of my first night on the ranch. My dad brought me to drink and vent out my emotions, but I couldn't do it even though I was drunk. That's when I knew that alcohol would not work on me anymore. I couldn't calm down my feelings no matter what. And when I couldn't see what Edward was doing or where he had gone, my anxiousness almost made me crazy. Days passed by, and when I saw Edward was bonding with his cousins and his family here, it actually helped. I knew that I couldn't get rid of his freedom, so all I can do is to surround him with the people I trust. I tried to hypnotize myself, to believe what the doctor said. But I still couldn't. Maybe it'll work one day. I just need to keep trying. Edward POV. Damn, my dad got a panic attack, my dad? I asked incredulously after hearing the gossip from the staff members after I woke up from my sleep. They didn't see me coming, and were surprised when I suddenly appeared behind them. You and your cat feet. Pepper scoffed after he saw the whole thing. Thanks. I received the compliment with a smile, but for some reason Pepper looked at me in disbelief. I rubbed my chin as I fell into contemplation. Pepper walked towards me and stood one step behind me as I was facing the couch. What evil deeds are you planning next? He asked with a hint of fear in his tone. I was still rubbing my chin as I replied, I think I need to have a long talk with my dad. Really? Pepper's eyes lit up. That's actually what I was going to convince you two to do today. Now, I just need to focus on convincing your dad about it. He wanted to walk away, but I raised my hand as I stopped him. I'll do it by myself. Really? It'll be awkward, especially since the both of you have an emotionally distant character. Pepper said with a sarcastic smile. I nodded as I agreed with him, yes. But from my continuous watching of TV's drama series and rom-com movies, the heart-to-heart talk will be the climax of a story. Pepper was baffled, but before he could react, I walked away to find my dad. He was eating breakfast at the moment. I stood next to him and muttered in a solemn manner, "We need to talk." My dad spit out his coffee as a reflex, and then looked at me with shaky eyes. "I'll wait for you by the swing. Come after you've finished eating," I told him. "Ed, don't you want to eat?" My grandma was concerned and her eyes darted between the two of us. I shook my head slightly and said, "No. I need to settle this first. Why does Ed look so scary right now?" Maggie muttered with a sense of fear. Amy unexpectedly licked her lips. "Don't you think he looks so sexy being like this?" Maggie looked at her sister in disbelief while I left the kitchen to wait at the small hill behind the house. It was the place where I traced Amy before after she ran away crying. I sat on the tire swing as I waited for my dad. The old tire was already too small for me to enjoy it. I became melancholic as I looked over the grassy plains. A few birds started to perch all around me. Even a small sparrow landed on my head. In the few days I'd been here, I'd basically conquered the heart of every animal here, minus the bugs. I waited, and was patient. It wasn't until 2 hours later that my dad reluctantly came towards the spot. I already expected he would be late. He needed some time to prepare himself. Hell, even I need to prepare. "Ed." "Dad." We greeted each other with our brows scrunched. My dad was still hesitant, but before he could open his mouth, I ordered, "Sit down." "Here?" "On the rock over there." "Or the grass?" "It's your choice as long as I can see your face," I said as I pointed at the huge boulder nearby. "Can't this wait until we get back?" he asked reluctantly as he didn't want to sit. "You know. You forced me to go to therapy. I could do the same thing to you. But instead of therapy, I'll just tell Sal how to make you drunk and let her have her ways." "All right. I'll sit." He quickly sat in front of me, perching his butt on the boulder as he sat there awkwardly. "Good. To answer your question, no. This matter can't wait until we get home. We both know that once we get back, the both of us will immerse ourselves in work again, and then it'll be prolonged until God knows when. And based on the TV rules, unresolved issues will come back and kick your ass later in the future. You could get addicted to pills, and then knock yourself out. Then when I visit you at the hospital, you'll conspire with the doctor to tell me that you're dying to teach me a lesson about not caring for you. You'll tell me that my dad is coming, and then reveal that you're not my true dad. Ed, don't get me wrong, I'm intrigued by the story, but what the hell are you talking about? My dad stopped me and asked me in confusion. He smiled a bit as he thought it was nonsense, which completed my goals. "It's nothing. I just want you to relax a bit." I smiled as I looked him in the eyes. Then, I sucked in my breath exaggeratedly. "Here goes. Dad. We need to talk about that night. Ed. I don't want to relive it. That wasn't the first time it happened." I cut him off, causing him to stand up in shock. His hand shivered as he looked me in the eyes, trying to see if I was lying. What?" I sighed and said, "Sit down. Calm yourself down first. It's not as serious as you think." "Ed, how long? Since I was a baby? I think. Honestly, you're building up all the fear in your mind. Let me explain what happened to me," I said dismissively as I gestured for him to take a seat again. After he calmed down, I asked, "Dad, what happens to a laptop you're still using, if they're being too laggy? What does this have to do with your disease? Unless you have a computer virus." "No. Not a computer virus." "Well, I don't think you know computer terms, so I'll just continue. You'll reset it. Then, it will work better. My deep sleep is similar to that." "This isn't scientific, Ed." My dad was becoming incredibly confused. Then, I smiled and said, "You know how long a person needs to fall into a deep REM sleep?" No, he shook his head as he didn't have a clue of what I was talking about. "Well, they took at least 6 hours. In the 8 hours of sleep the doctor told you to get, only the last 2 is actually when you fall into a deep sleep cycle. 6 hours? My dad muttered, amused. But I only slept for 5 to 6 hours? Yeah. It depends on someone's age and habits too. So, now you know a normal person needs a long time to do it, right? I asked him calmly, as if I was a teacher giving lessons to a very slow student. He was a bit insulted, but he nodded anyway. I then continued, well, I can enter a deep sleep process in under 30 seconds. My dad almost stood up in shock again, but midway I scolded him, are you going to stand up every single time? Or are you just exercising your legs? He was a bit embarrassed. How did you know this, Ed? He still needed a confirmation lest I was trying to trick him. I can take a brain scan if you want. And show it to you. I muttered without fear. It was true. Using my rest skill, I can enter a deep sleep cycle in just a few seconds, so I wasn't afraid of him trying to make me take the test. So, I only need a shorter sleep than most people, and sometimes, my body will fall into an extremely deep sleep, like the ones you saw before. It happened a few times, and it was actually very beneficial to me. How so? The doctor almost announced your time of death. My dad asked with a concerned voice. I shot him a dirty look and said, didn't you hear what Dr. House said before? My heartbeat slowed down, but it was still there. The doctor couldn't see it, and almost made a mistake. My argument was based on the data Dr. House showed me before. Although I couldn't explain what happened to my soul at that time, my strategy was to concoct a convincing story about my physical body. Like a laptop, my body condition will get better after the cycle. My mind will become clearer, and my bodily function will improve. But Dad, you have to keep this a secret. My dad was already confused from the bombardment of information, and fell into another because of my request. Why can't I tell this to other people? Right then, he did have a sense that I was trying to trick him, but he still wanted to hear what I was going to say. I scoffed internally but pretended to have a worried expression on the surface. Well, you can say that it's dangerous for me if it's revealed. Why? He was dying for me to spit everything out at this time. He kept shaking his legs anxiously, and his palms started to get sweaty. You know about the theory of evolution? I said in a solemn manner before I joked, or is it banned here by the Baptist Church? It's banned till the 90s. But they can't control the spread of information anymore after that. My dad blurted out, which caused me to be baffled. Don't get sidetracked. I want to know, why is it dangerous for you if anyone else knows? You can say that, I am currently evolving from the path of a Homo sapien. I can be called a Homo superior, a word that doesn't mean that I'm a superior homosexual. Don't joke. He chuckled but stopped himself quickly. Was I feeling guilty that I was lying to my dad? Absolutely not. Compare my lie to the truth. Truth, my soul is connected to the afterlife, and I can get abilities, knowledge, and talents of all of the human beings in the multiverse by rolling a gambling gacha using my karma points as the payment. Lie, my body is entering a deep sleep cycle, resetting my bodily function and making me healthier. I didn't hesitate to pick the lie if I could help my dad regain his internal peace. So, you already knew all this before that happened? He asked in disbelief. Yeah. I replied shortly. So the medical bills are actually a wasteful expenditure in my opinion. He falls into contemplation, disbelief, and even anger at the doctors in the hospitals. Can I confirm this? Do you know when you're gonna fall into that reset again? He asked anxiously. Yeah. I think you can. But I won't know if it was going to happen until I was trying to go to sleep that day. I said. Great. Now I have to figure out the timing of my gacha session. I can make him confirm it during my birthday, his birthday, or my mom's birthday. Sage's day is also good, but I need to wait a whole year for that. Maybe Halloween? They said I will get called during Life or Death Day, right? It's going to take a few months. Wait at least until October. Then you can confirm it. It happened quarterly? He asked in disbelief. How have I never noticed this? What have I done all these years? Well, to be honest, if Haley didn't put her head on my chest, no one would know. I don't plan for anyone to know. I don't want to be taken to a research institute and get studied, you know? If you're really afraid, you should let me go to sleep with Haley every day. Stop. He raised his hand to stop me quickly. Then, he rubbed his forehead and groaned, should I really? My eyes lit up, but he continued, maybe, I can do it. Don't even think about it, old man. I shouted quickly to prevent him from getting any strange ideas. After I made him get rid of those thoughts, I opened up to him about my difficulties in my work, just venting out on him. I did that to his benefit, but the way he was smiling warmly and looked satisfied was irritating me. Ah, Dad. There is another way for you to confirm that I'm an homo superior. What? He asked with a laugh. He didn't believe my words about me being an evolved human being, but he did believe that I have special skills that need to be protected. That was good enough for me. You should make me a brother or sister. With a lot more experimental subjects, you can confirm it. Maybe 10 more. He glared at me, and I ran away quickly. Ed. For my last day at the ranch, I didn't do anything much other than spending some time with my grandma and grandpa, and helped with the work at the ranch. I noticed that the film crew were following me sometimes, but I ignored them. I planned to have an online fan meet right here, but I decided to wait until I get back to California to do it because of my dad. Me bringing the crew here for a film shoot made him have a panic attack, and I don't want to know what's going to happen if I went ahead and did a live broadcast here. I hate to admit it, but I had more fun at Wisconsin than I thought. Especially with the animals. As I was putting my clothes into my suitcase in preparation to get back, I heard a rough meowing coming from outside of the house. I wanted to check it out by going to the front door, but my grandpa stopped me with a solemn face. Ed, stop. Jules. Get the gun. There's a puma outside. My grandpa shouted. Wait. Grandpa. Ed, stay here. I need to protect the livestocks. My grandpa said before I pulled him back. I said wait. She's not dangerous. She? My grandma came to the front door with a shotgun in her hands. I smiled wryly and said, I know that puma. Ed, don't be ridiculous. My grandpa tried to stop me, but my uncle stood up for me. Dad. What Edward said is true. Huh? You too, Aaron? Just, let me out first. You can follow me with the gun. If it tries to attack me, then you can shoot. I said while looking him in the eyes. My grandpa was a bit taken aback. My dad and my Aunt Camila rushed to the living room because of the commotion and asked, what is happening? There's a puma outside, Ed, damn it. Grandpa Sam tried to explain, but I already snuck out of the house. Maggie and Amy followed the group, and Pepper also was alerted and followed the noise. He was with the crew members in the SUV at the time. Ah. She's eating Edward's face. Maggie screamed in horror as she saw the sight of me getting mauled by the puma. Amy was shocked and then she fainted on the ground. Maggie turned to her and yelled again, Amy's dead too. Grandpa Sam was extremely alert, but when he saw I was petting the puma in an intimate manner, he calmed down. Wait. Seriously? He muttered in disbelief. I was laughing as the puma was licking my face, and when Pepper came, he reacted in the exact same way Maggie did. My aunt and my dad helped calm down the sisters while my grandpa approached me and the puma warily. Edward. Explain. He said curtly. I think she's someone's pet. Or used to be. She's not hostile to humans. And I think she's hungry for some jerky, so that's why she's calling me out. I don't think she'd ever hunted anything before. That explains why my brisket is missing this morning, and also last night. Grandma Jules muttered without any fear for the puma. Dad, can I keep her? I asked my dad. Ted was startled, and then he smiled awkwardly. You know, we don't live in an estate. And I'm not even sure if it was legal to keep a puma as a pet. The sultans do it. Uncle Aaron gave me some support. Why are you trying to mess with me? Ted grumbled at Aaron. Aaron laughed, nah. If you saw what I saw, you'd know why. What did you see? I'll tell you, but you won't believe me. Chapter 167, Lonely. Edward POV. It's still too soon. I want you to stay here longer, but I know you have a lot of work to do. Grandma Jules hugged me and said with teary eyes as I finished packing my stuff. Grandma and Grandpa usually slept early, but today, they stayed up until it was almost 10 o'clock just to spend more time with me. It made me have a warm feeling inside my chest, and thoughts about staying here longer germinated in my mind. Although, the thoughts about making more money killed that familial thoughts quickly. The latter didn't even stand a chance to beg for its life. We were standing in front of the house, right by the SUVs, and my father's side of the family all had a sad look on their faces as they said their goodbyes. My grandpa kept wrapping her arms around me, extremely reluctant to let me go. I'll take care of ACE for a while. When you find out about the law, then you can bring him to your place. My grandpa said as he held the leash for the puma. Ace, the name I'd given to the beast, was looking at me in a sad and pleading manner, as if she didn't want to stay with my grandpa. I wanted to say, be my son to her as I adopted her, but she was a girl, and also a puma, so I stopped myself from doing so lest my family thought I was being crazy. I rubbed the puma's head and said, don't worry. My grandpa is a nice man. And my grandma makes a mean brisket. Ace's eyes glittered, and she didn't feel as dejected anymore. Maggie and Amy had reddish eyes as they were on the brink of tears. Ed, don't wait another 3 years before you come back home, yeah? Amy pleaded as she gave me a hug. I smiled as I stroked her hair before Maggie pounced on me and gave me a hug too. I'll come visit you when I go to college. She muttered with some guilty conscience and was checking out the reactions of the people around her, especially her mom and dad. I smirked and said, college? Maggie quickly said, why? I'm going to go to college in California. Gosh Ed, what's with your memory? Why can't you remember that? Oh. My bad. I muttered dismissively, I guess my memory is quite bad nowadays. I remembered something about a contract, and 200 grands? I don't know. Maybe I should ask Uncle Jim Dash. Maggie laughed fakely, ha, very funny Ed. Now go home. Quick. She pushed me from behind strongly to make me disappear. I just made a quick turn, causing her to push nothing and almost fell into the SUV. She glared at me poutingly but I ignored her and said my goodbyes to my aunt and uncles. I'm going to miss this place. Aunt Camila muttered with a sad tone. Grandma Jules patted her head lovingly and said, then, you should come again next time Camila. You're already part of the family. My aunt showed a rare blush as she didn't have much of an experience with maternal love. She gave Grandma Jules a long hug before waving her goodbye with teary eyes. My dad, however, was acting like he always does. He only gave a handshake to his siblings and a cursory nod to his dad. But he couldn't escape my grandma's bear hug and was shaken a few times before she let him go. By I'll come back for Thanksgiving, I waved at my family from the open window of the SUV as the car drove away. I saw my grandma wiping her eyes, which made me feel a bit guilty. I should focus on medicines for the next gacha. I want them to live a long life. Only then will they be able to enjoy the result of my work. I vowed internally. It took only 4 hours after moving from the ranch for me to get back to my house in California. The efficiency of the staff members with Frankie Dart's management allowed me to not waste my time at the airport and even to get back to my house. Following my order, she arranged a few paparazzis inside the airport. Not only did this action allow people to know that I was still alive, it also helped me with my media presence. Although, my aunt was a bit irritated by it. Getting back after a family trip? Edward Newgate's surprisingly charming family. My dad laughed after he read the new articles when we were having some tea in the kitchen. My aunt was irritated because the media was claiming her to be my mother. I think you're not that angry at the mother proclamation, rather than the idea that you're married to this tubby, right? I asked her teasingly. Hey! My dad retorted quickly. I've been losing a lot of weight. Yeah. 2 more months, and I'm sure that you'll finally get rid of your beer belly. I do applaud your commitment to this. I was sure that you're going to give up midway, but I was proven wrong. I said in a convincing manner. My dad smiled wryly as he looked at me. Now, even if he wanted to quit, he couldn't. I'm going to sleep, he said pitifully. My aunt was still angry and then decided to go for a night ride. However, before she could pull out of the driveway, I hopped into the car and said, "Can I join?" "All right. Wear your seatbelts," she said with a smirk. Then, she drove at a high speed all across the city before we returned home when it was almost dawn. During noon, as I was working on a few projects inside the kitchen, I suddenly looked around the empty house. Can't believe that I'm missing those kids, I muttered with a sigh. I was already accustomed to Maggie and Amy bickering and non-stop chattering. It made me feel a little bit lonely right now when I was left alone in the empty house. My aunt went to pick up a few supplies from Calexico. She has a proper job now. She opened an auto shop that specializes in modifications of cars. She had started to work on it before we went to Wisconsin, and needed to finish setting up her store before the opening. My dad wanted to stay at home, but I ordered him to go to the port as he was needed there. I had bought the ship he fell in love with, the one with the flaw in the engine, and right now a team of mechanics is currently working on fixing that flaw. I had solved it a long time ago, but the work needed to modify the ship took a long time. I didn't think that it could be finished before summer ended. I can't focus. I stretched my arms upwards before leaving my laptop and went to open the fridge. It was almost time for lunch, therefore I decided to fix up a special treat. Unfortunately, there was nothing interesting inside the fridge, so I could only make spaghetti with meatballs for lunch. A gush of loneliness suddenly blew all over me as I sat there eating alone. The warm memories of eating with my relatives surfaced in my mind. Am I missing them? In less than a day? How is this possible? I muttered to myself as I twirled the spaghetti. Before I went to Wisconsin, there were just a few memories and faces that I was terrified to meet. However, they had crawled their way into my heart and built a nest there. I look forward to meeting them again. Although, if I really wanted to, I could just fly there. With a private jet, the distance between us didn't matter much. I heard a notification sound from my phone when I was finishing eating. I checked the group chat and smiled. Wolf Cub sent a picture, pic.jpg. Enid sent a picture of her pointing towards a pack of wolves from afar with an excited look on her face. Edward, meeting your relatives? Wolf Cub, face with steam from nose, face with steam from nose, face with steam from nose, angry emoji, I will bring them all to California to eat you. Wolf face, wolf face, wolf face. Edward, bring it. I'm not scared. Tiger face. Edward, pic.jpg. I sent a picture of me having a selfie with ACE, my adopted son, a pet. I meant pet. Enid, face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear, surprised/shocked emoji. None, is that real? None, pic JPG. Jenna sent a pic of her in a nun's outfit. Not the sexy kind. But her mom beside her with a deep chest cleavage and tight-fitting nun clothes could induce a few nosebleeds among teenagers. Horny teen, hot face, flushed emoji. Abraham was kicked out of the group by the admin. What the dash, I was surprised then chuckled a bit as I saw it. Ice Queen, I kick him out first before his pervertness explodes. Elsa then sent a picture of her with her family going on a trip together. Jim Bro. You look beautiful babe, smiling face with hard eyes, smiling face with hard eyes, smiling face with hard eyes. Jacob sent a picture of him shirtless and was doing push-ups on the football field. Emo girl, you're still training? Billy appeared out of nowhere again. She kept her online status private so people never knew if she ever read the messages. Jim Bro, my dad won't let me rest. Help! We reacted for a while before Alex entered the chat with a picture of her dad wearing a little orphan Annie outfit. My spy, Edward. This is all your fault. I laughed out loud in real life until my stomach hurt. As I was wheezing, I replied to Alex. Edward, I want to see more photos. My spy, never. Then, she sent a picture of her with wet clothes captured from when she was doing a physical challenge inside the family camp where they had to swing from a rope across a pit. Clearly, she fell into it. She even fell face first, so there was a lot of dirt on her skin. My spy, I'm done with family camp. Edward. Put some ice on it to prevent getting swollen. At the time Alex sent me her picture, Haley also sent a sexy picture of her tying her shirt to reveal her belly button and paired with a booty short while she was resting inside her family's dorm room. Haley pretended to have cramps to avoid the physical activities, a trick that Alex wished she could have thought sooner before getting dragged by her mom and dad to participate. I texted Haley, when are you getting back? Comet, why? You miss me already? Edward, a little bit, and also I need to confirm it for the concert tickets. Comet, right. That. I was fixated on the chat group for a while and was abandoning my work for an hour. But I did get back to it soon. I wonder what the people I was texting would feel if they knew my nickname for them. Claire was nicknamed OCD1 while Frankie was OCD2. Phil was the magician, Gloria was Colombian Cartel, Jay was Put Closets, a name that I knew he would kill me if he saw it. Mitch and Cam were Queen and Queener, while Pepper was the Queenest. I didn't think much when I was doing the nicknames, and was too lazy to change them. Let's see. The gala is tomorrow. I muttered to myself as I checked my schedule. I need to make sure that my outfit is finished. It's a fashion gala after all. I wonder what Taylor is going to wear tomorrow. General POV. It's a hot California summer day. The port was filled with visitors trying to book a cruise trip and plan for activities for the day. The hustling and bustling at the port, however, brought a headache to the lone manager working at the Whitebeard tourism industry. Frankie Dart shouted calmly to the long line of people queuing in front of the office, "We're already booked for the entire summer. You can check out the trip date at our website. Why don't you expand?" A voice shouted from the crowd. Frankie was taken aback for a while before saying, "We don't have enough captains, okay? I know that you guys have woken up early to queue, so we won't let you go back empty-handed. Here, take this consolatory bread and coffee from us." The crowd finally relented after that and dispersed. Frankie wiped her non-existing sweat before smiling at the woman next to her. "Another day, another issue, right, Dina? Do we really have no more prospective captains?" Dina asked. Frankie shook her head. "We have. But we cannot expand the scale here. There's no more places for the ships." In entertained company, Harvey had a headache. "It's a nice day outside, don't you think so, Mr. Bruce?" Harvey said with a slight sarcastic tone to the FBI agent sitting in front of her office desk. Bruce chuckled a bit before saying seriously, "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. But this is a matter of national security. I need confirmation as soon as I can. Basically, you want backdoors to the apps to monitor potential threats. You want to do it yourself, but you can't cause Edward encrypted everything for privacy." Bruce smiled wryly as Harvey stared at him menacingly. However, Harvey leaned forward and joined her hands together before staring at him right in the eyes. Edward also predicted this. Laws about internet communications are full of loopholes, so he wants to keep his products clean as long as he can. He gave me guidelines on ways to do it. First, you need an official investigation document for us to open up the backdoor to a target's chat logs dash. That won't work dash. Let me finish. Harvey stopped Bruce from speaking. "I know what you think, and I didn't mean a judge's warrant. We just need an official letter from you asking us to cooperate, and proof that we had complied with the request." Bruce was a bit puzzled. "Why?" "We have our reasons," Harvey said dismissively as she leaned back on the chair. "Does this include all the apps, or just the WhatsApp app?" Bruce asked. Currently, Entertain holds ownership over 3 social networking service apps and 1 mobile games. LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, and the Flappy Birds games. Some of the apps currently in development were the Entertain video streaming app, which was basically Netflix in 2020, Angry Birds mobile game to continue Edward's bird-based game legacy, and also Temple Run game. More than 1,000 people were now hired by the company, which expanded the company's business greatly. Depends on what you need. As long as there's an official letter from you guys, we will cooperate, Harvey said in a tired voice. She was hired to be the head of the legal team, which was a promotion from her job as head of the entertainment company legal team. Currently, she was regretting the promotions, as even though the salary was great, the job kept piling up endlessly, which made her can't catch a break. Edward needed to ensure one party didn't throw another party under the bus before he did it. Sometimes, too tight of a security would be a problem. That's why he was complying with the FBI, but he would still keep them under his supervision. Humans always fear the unknown, that includes things out of their control. The government wants some control over his apps, and he would comply, as long as they gave him some benefits. This was an example of compromise. However, there were still a few people that were determined to destroy the thing that was out of their control. Such as a teenage pop star that signed a hard-to-break contract early in her career, and when she wanted to break free, the company gave her an ultimatum. Taylor was sitting in front of the devilishly good-looking vice director of her entertainment agency. Her face was pale, and her eyes were reddish. The vice director said cockily, "Yes. You can break the contract. It's in your right to do so. Just as we have the right not to publish your album, and restrict your camera appearances during the whole negotiation process." How long will it take? 2 years? 5 years? Will people even remember you then? You sure were prepared to get help from a third party. I admire you for that. I didn't even notice the hidden clause until it went and bit me in the ass. The vice director stood up, buttoned his suit, and walked next to Taylor. He sat at the edge of her chair and put his hand on her shoulder. As she was becoming wary, he grabbed her chin and made her look him right in the eye. "Love? The media is really stupid. How can they not see how greedy you are? You just want to go to Entertain because they gave you more money. That's not Dash. And Edward sure is an eye candy. But as long as I paid a little bit more money, I can twist up your relationship with him, painting you as a predator, ruin your reputation, and also your career. Why are you doing this?" Taylor broke into tears. The vice director chuckled a bit and released her chin. He stood up and walked to the window, "Because, if I can't have something, I'd rather destroy it than to let others have it. So choose Taylor. Love, or your career?" He turned and looked at her with an evil grin, his gaze carried no trace of remorse for what he was doing. Taylor gripped the edge of her shirt tightly until her hands were pale. Her eyes shook, and she thought for a while. "I will give you an answer, after the gala," she said to the vice director before walking out of the office. Chapter 168, Gala, Part 1. Edward POV. The models were walking on the runway accompanied by catchy pop music. They posed at the center of the stage before walking back behind the curtain for a costume change. Wearing a black, bob-cut wig and thick glasses, I slow-clapped at the exhibition while looking condescendingly at those designers. My seat was at the second row of the left side of the stage, and it was the best seat Pepper could get me too, considering my low reputation in the fashion industry. I wasn't mad, because there were a lot of celebrities sitting in the same row as me. I saw Emma Stone, the future Gwen Stacy, and also Andrew Garfield sitting together. I also saw Zendaya and Elizabeth Gillies, awkwardly sitting next to each other. There were dozens of celebrities in the hall, and my presence almost became obscure from it. Well, almost. Why are you being Edna mode? The 13-year-old Anya Taylor-Joy whispered to me without making her seem impolite at the event. I smirked and said, "Because she's awesome, that's why." She was in disbelief and said helplessly, "You're a bit weird. I just met her at the event and by some stupid luck, we were sitting next to each other. So of course, I'm going to bother her." Friendly, but she was being a bit reserved. Therefore, when she blurted out her true feelings like this, I was elated instead of disappointed. I continued examining the dresses as the models walked by. Then I sighed. Why are you so far away? Taylor and Pepper were sitting together, on the right side of the stage, just because Pepper was slow at recognizing left and right when he came into the hall. He went to pick up Taylor and let me sit first, but this became the result. I would have just waited for him to finish shitting if I knew. I said with a sigh as I waved at them from afar. Taylor gave me a giggle as she hiddenly waved back at me, and the Jimmy Jib camera flew across the right side to the left side at this time, startling her. Versace Summer-Winter Collection, by Gavin Sinclair. The MC announced in a calm and polite manner as she presented the show. Oh. It's Hailey's future boss, and Gloria's future murder victim, I mumbled to myself as I looked at the bowing man standing in the middle of the stage before the models walked in. He was a tall, snobbish man with stylish glasses, Ray-Ban brand that was also part of my glasses design collection, and he behaved very contemptuously against the other designers there even though he had just ventured into the industry. That's what having rich parents allows you to do after all. Then, the runway had a short break where they interviewed the guests, which allowed me to rejoin the duo. Ed. Taylor smiled and hugged me. She gave me a tight squeeze, which made me a bit confused. She was still smiling as she released me, and said, I missed you. I missed you too. By the way, are you okay? You look a little upset. Taylor widened her eyes in shock while Pepper's eyes darted between us. How? He mumbled, wondering if what I guessed was true. I am not upset. Taylor chuckled modestly while cupping her mouth and slapping my shoulder. Pepper scoffed suddenly, I was excited for nothing. Ed, what do you think about the show? Are you the part-timer interviewer right now? Wait, hold on. Isn't the most important question to ask right now, what is this? What are you wearing? Taylor pointed at my wig and glasses. I shook my wig excitedly, making them dance around. I'm just emulating my idol, Edna Mode. Who? Taylor was confused. It's from a movie. I replied with a sad smile. Then, she grabbed my hand and said, whatever you look, really weird. But, still handsome, right? Like, weirdly so? I asked with a teasing smirk. Taylor grabbed her chin in contemplation before saying, yes. So take it off right now. Why? I don't want my taste to become twisted. Pepper rolled his eyes from the flirting going on in front of him and said, I'm going to go meet Longinus. Ah, Ed, do you want to do the interview? Sure. I'd love to do it. I have a lot of comments about today's show. Pepper was a bit taken aback. Maybe you shouldn't do it? I haven't had any real footing in this industry. I don't want to get in trouble on our company's first day in it. I rolled my eyes at him and said, when did you become so cowardly? Where's the Pepper that continually snarked about Britney and complained about everyone's fashion sense? 'Cause I need that guy today. You said we don't have any footing, but honestly, that guy is the only one that can actually help us. I grabbed Pepper's cheek and smushed his face, beat that GUI. He's our only hope. Yo, you're right. I'd lost my edge because I'd been too busy managing a company. Pepper self-actualized for a while before his eyes shone a determined glint. I'm that guy. Yes. I watched Pepper walk with a fiery stride and mingle with the designers and the guests, making snarky comments about their outfits and appearances, which made him the center of attention and helped him create several new connections that were useful for our company. They might not love him, but they did respect him for the fact that he could speak the truth. That was an important part of the fashion industry, not just the bootlicking. You're really awesome, you know that, right? Taylor suddenly said while looking at me with a soft gaze. I was confused and then brought her hand upwards and kissed the back of her palm. She was a bit startled and looked around instantly, making sure that no one had seen it. Hey! Stop that! She said, but she didn't release her hand, and still kept a bright smile on her face. Then, we were called to the interview stage, and we decided to go and had the interview together. The interviewer, Kate Moss, kept an unnatural smile on her face as she asked her question, so, Edward Newgate? What are you wearing today? The camera recorded my dashing black indigo suit and a small cape on my left shoulder, mimicking the appearance of medieval shoulder armor. The design had captured the eyes of the designers in the show, making them constantly approach me. Oh. This is a collaboration between myself and Haley Dunphy, my own personal designer. I replied. A hint of jealousy could be seen in Taylor's eyes, but she kept smiling as she waited her turn. Wait, you did this yourself? Kate Moss was surprised and her face changed for the first time. She then touched the suit slightly and was thoroughly impressed. No, we work evenly. I replied, stressing Haley's contributions. She's going to need a lot of prestige if she wants to venture into this industry later on. Without sufficient backing and reputation, she could only start with an assistant-level job, and most of her effort would be swallowed by her boss during her first years. Oh. Haley Dunphy is also the one who designed your outfit for the Vogue magazine photoshoot, right? Any chance we could see her collection soon? Kate Moss asked in a polite manner after getting the hint. She still needs a little bit more practice, but soon. I replied with a smile. And how about you, Taylor? Kate Moss turned to the girl beside me. What are you wearing today? After the initial greetings, Kate Moss asked about the show. It was great. Versace did a great job in creating the simple fit design. However, it still lacks representation in today's show. Kate Moss's eyes lit up as she loved controversial topics. Why do you think so? I was referring to a more diverse body shape and disabilities, and mostly talked about body positivity. So, what's going on with you two? Kate Moss changed the subject and asked about the both of us mischievously. We turned to look at each other and laughed before avoiding the question. Our interview became the longest interview shown on broadcast, and the impact wasn't small. Good grief, that was long. Taylor commented after we finished the interview. Good grief? What are you? Charlie Brown? I teased. She laughed a bit before pinching my arm. Finally, you'd cheered up a bit. What happened? Why are you so upset today? I asked as I rubbed the sore spot. She was a bit defensive. I'm not upset. Maybe you're the one who's upset. I am. A little bit. I said while pretending to be pitiful. Taylor felt guilty and tried to ask, wait? Really? What happened? You happened. I replied, causing her to be taken aback. She asked quickly, her face ashen, is this about the contract dash? You're here, being so beautiful in your red dress, but I had to sit so far away from you and no, nothing is wrong with the contract. I estimate that you can get out of it in less than a week, before my tour starts. That's impossible. She almost shouted, causing the crowd to turn their heads to look at us for a moment. Ha! It's not. Wait, the decisive moment is here. Hey, Mr. Hendricks. A thin old man with a glorious twice-swirled mustache and a golden suit walked towards us. Taylor froze on the spot seeing the man, but I was excited. Taylor's reaction was normal. After all, he is currently the owner and the president of her entertainment company. He looked at me contemptuously as I was holding hands with Taylor, but his gaze changed into a friendly uncle as he looked at Taylor. Taylor dear, can you excuse us for a while? Taylor stammered and her eyes darted between me and the president. I smiled as I saw her reaction and said, hey, I think Pepper needs some help. Why don't you go to him? Okay? Taylor answered meekly before she walked away hesitantly. She kept looking back a few times, and almost bumped into other people there. Both the president and I smiled and waved at her slowly, as if saying there was nothing to be worried about. But when she had reached Pepper, we both turned to each other with a solemn look on our faces. Let's talk in a more private setting, the old man said in a cold manner. Fine by me, I replied casually. Both of us went out of the venue and entered the lift together. We went to the rooftop where dozens of his armed guards were waiting, as if to strike terror in my very being before the negotiations today. I'll be honest. I don't like you, Hendricks said. But your plan is great. No need to feel guilty about it. The feeling's mutual. I replied, not backing down or showing any signs of weaknesses. You're rash, immature, greedy for money, and also a horny teenage boy. Now, you're implicating an innocent girl just because you're thinking with your penis. Hypocritical, especially coming from the guy who wanted to sabotage my career to keep Taylor. I can say confidently that my penis is smarter than half of the people in this country. Hell, it might even have more brain cells than them. See? Immature. Hendricks scoffed contemptuously at the joke. How could I leave her in your hands when I don't see a shred of decency in you? You cannot see my decency, but you can see my ability. You already investigated me, right? I asked. Hendricks was silently confirming what I had guessed, and his eyes were looking at me condescendingly. From growing a business, or creating profits, I didn't lack any of it. I admit that I lack influence in this industry, but it won't be a big problem for me to get that. All I need is some time. So, you want Taylor to get more profit for your company? Hendricks asked angrily. His armed guards walked closer towards me, as if wanting to put pressure on me. I want Taylor because I like her as a person. I replied, shutting down his accusation instantly. Then you can just be with her, not gambling with her entire career by acting like an entitled brat? He sneered. I shook my head as I no longer wanted to play with him. Don't pretend too much. We both know why you're really here, I said, stopping the farce. Hendricks became solemn and said to the guards behind him, leave us. Then, he said authoritatively, I have to admit, you're really a genius at making money. I lured him here today by giving him financial advice, which basically doubled his investment in a short period of time. However, I myself didn't follow the plan. Despite the success, my source of information was from monitoring the politicians' chats and tapping their phone to find their internal trading plan. It was definitely illegal to do, but it was necessary for my future plans. How much money a mere entertainment agency can make? I said with a slight chuckle. Especially when the artist no longer has the intention of working for you. Hendricks furrowed his brows and I continued, but I can make you much more. Of course, this is all within a year's time. So you want me to sell you Taylor's rights, for your personal help in my financial growth? He asked coldly. That is your aim, isn't it? If not, you won't even be here today. I replied casually. And how should I know you're not going to make me bankrupt? He asked in a cold manner. You don't. The only thing that could stop me is your decision today. I replied. We both know words mean nothing to people like us. So it's a gamble. He thought for a while, but the temptation was too great. And from his investigations, he already knew how Entertain grew big in a short period of time, and how much money we had made right now. The company grew too fast that a lot of people were keeping an eye on the company, waiting for the time for it to go public. However, I have no intention of sharing the executive decisions of the company, or letting others have a share in it. Hendricks finally decided to release Taylor, as right now, she was only going to do the company more harm than good. Alright, let's terminate the contract, he said. But, if you go back on your words, you know what will happen to you. He gestured to his bodyguards, and they turned to intimidate me with their firearms. I laughed and said, don't worry. As long as you keep your words, I'll keep mine. After I integrated the charisma of wicked wisdom, I found myself easily getting the trust of people with bad personality and those who were mentally unstable. However, it could only be activated when they meet me face to face. That's why I had to lure this guy out today. Tell Greg I can't make it to his gala, Hendricks said after giving me the signed contract that signifies Taylor's free artist status. You mean, Gregory Versace? I widened my eyes in disbelief as I heard it. I gave him a USB stick, in which he smiled greedily as he snatched it from my hand. Yes, or is it too hard for you? He asked, trying to get back into his character as a kind old man. Nah. I can do it. I shrugged. I waved the sly old man goodbye as he hopped on a black helicopter that was waiting for him. Then, as they were flying off, my wig flew off too because of the wind, causing me to curse. Damn it! But I am really lucky. That guy didn't notice that he had fallen into my trap. I mumbled to myself as I stroked my hair backward. It changed into a stylish hairstyle without any products needed, and I walked back to the venue. The more Hendrix followed my advice, the more dependent he would be on me. And when he finally realized that he had fallen into a quagmire of illegal insider trading, it would be too late and there would be nothing he could do at that time. I'll show Taylor the contract after the event tonight to surprise her, I thought to myself. After meeting Gregory, I was actually dragged backstage by that guy as he couldn't stop talking. I could see why Hendrix ran away quickly. He must be a long-term victim of this guy. And as you can see, this season's collection focused on simplicity. Gregory said as he barged into the models' changing room without even knocking. They were changing their clothes and were half naked while smoking cigarettes and snorting all sorts of stuff. All of them were startled by Gregory's sudden presence there and were scrambling. They pushed the substances away to hide them before standing facing Gregory without any top on. I was a bit startled when I saw their reaction, but Gregory didn't even react to it. He just scoffed and said to a beautiful brown-skinned model with a bob-cut hair beside us, "Maybe instead of hiding it, you should wipe your nose instead." The model was embarrassed and she turned around to clean up her nose quickly. "Sorry, Edward, I've shown you such a pathetic scene." Gregory apologized. "Oh, that's okay. I'm used to it," I replied. Gregory then nodded with a disappointed look on his face. "That's sad." I nodded and followed him to go and see the designers, but Gregory had an important call and said, "Wait here. I'll be right back." "Sure," I replied. I didn't know why he was bringing me around and introducing me to everyone, but I guess it has something to do with Taylor's agency president. He knew exactly what I needed, therefore he gave me a helping hand. However, as I was left alone in the models' changing room, the models' gaze turned coquettish and precocious. They started clamoring and encircling me like a pack of vultures. "Oh my God. He's so cute," one of the models said. "Edward? I'm your fan. Can you sign my boobs?" A topless European model with only panties on propped her breast towards me as she gave me a marker. "Ed, you want a hit?" Some models returned to making lines before snorting them, and offered me some. "Hey! He's still a young boy." One of the older models hugged me from behind to stop me, even though I had no intention of taking the offer. "So what?" Drew Barrymore started cocaine at 12 years old. The model who offered scoffed before returning to her cocaine. I shook my head and said, "The only drug I've ever taken is caffeine. Also, get a piece of paper if you want me to sign it." The models laughed from my reaction. Some of them kept poking my cheek as I was just such a cute boy, which irked me a lot. But I still kept my cool as I gave them the autographs and also took a few pictures with them. Then, my attention turned to a young, Swedish girl that was sitting alone at the makeup table. I saw her smiling to herself as she took out a piece of candy and ate it hiddenly after finishing her runway walk, before bursting into tears. My mind became chaotic and I was taken aback for a while. This fucking crazy industry. I cursed in my mind before walking towards that girl. Chapter 169, Gala, Part 2. Edward POV. "Hey, what ya eating?" The Swedish model was startled and she blurted out, "Mixed food drop?" "You mean fruit drop?" I teased her. She blushed as she lowered her gaze to check the name on the tin. "What's your name?" I asked. "Astrid." "Hi, nice to meet you, Astrid," I said as I shook hands with her. She smiled and said, "Nice to meet you too. Do you want one?" She picked up one of the candies and gave it to me. "Sure." I didn't take it with my hand, but picked it up with my mouth instead. Astrid laughed and we talked for a while. Like I expected, she had been dieting hard to prepare herself for the show, and the tiny piece of candy was the only sugar-filled food that she had eaten in the last 6 months. Damn. You're a very dedicated girl. I would go crazy if I went without sugar for more than 2 days, I said as I patted her head slightly. She was baffled at first, but then she smiled sincerely. Thanks. I work very hard. Astrid. I told you, if you do cocaine, then you can have as much sugar as you want. Dash. Shut up, Tiffany. Astrid yelled at the drug-addicted girl behind her. Edward, does this seem fake to you? Another European model approached me while covering her breast with her hands. I rolled my eyes at the forwardness of these girls here, and then I gave up trying to change their attitudes. I then changed the topic and asked them about how they got started in this industry, and what it takes for someone to become a model. They replied to me enthusiastically, and even encouraged me to venture into this industry. They were in love with my proportions, and said that if I didn't become a singer, I could definitely make it as a model. They invited me to come to the after party, for which I told them I was already on the guest list. Then, they explained to me that they were talking about another type of after party, but I ignored the subject. Oh, Edward. I'm sorry. They didn't do anything weird to you, didn't they? Gregory came back and asked while looking menacingly at the girls. They snickered as they met his gaze, and one of them spoke up. How do you know he didn't do anything weird to us? Oh, right. Ed, did you do anything weird to them? Gregory asked me teasingly. I was tired from the farce and rolled my eyes. Of course not. Great. I trust you. Let's go. There's a few more people I want you to meet, Gregory said and led me away. Wait. Edward. Astrid grabbed my hand and then sneaked the can of candy in it. What the dash? I was confused, and then she explained with a soft smile, I promised myself to only eat one. So you can take the rest. The models were looking at me with a soft and kind smile as they waved me goodbye. Maybe I should go to the after party? I muttered to myself as I waved them back before I left. General POV. Taylor. Selena, who was wearing a shoulderless white dress, ran lightly and jumped to hug her friend. Selena. You're late. Taylor's face was filled with displeasure, but her body reacted honestly and returned the hug. I'm sorry. The shoot ran late. Where's Ed? Selena looked around in excitement. He's suffering backstage. Taylor replied. Suffering? Hanging out with the hot models is suffering? Selena asked teasingly. Not the models, but a chattering old man. Anyway, that's his words, not mine. Like you, I don't believe he's suffering either, Taylor said before breaking into a smile. Selena then asked, so, what do you want to ask me about? I need your advice, Taylor said with indecision. She wanted to ask, but at the same time, she didn't want anyone to find out about her whole situation, not even her best friend. Edward POV. After the last runway show, we finally got to the main event of the gala. Basically, a dinner and a show. Versace conducted an award event with some performances in between. I sat at a circular table with Pepper, Taylor, Selena, a few models from the fashion show, and last but not least, Anya Taylor-Joy. Can you say Waku Waku? I whispered to the young Anya that was sitting on my right. I was planning for Taylor to sit on my left, but she insisted on Selena sitting there. What do you mean? Anya was confused. Waku Waku. Say it? I asked with a sly smirk. Anya was confused, but she did it anyway. Waku Waku? Not that way. But, I guess that's the normal way of saying it. What's Waku Waku? Selena asked in confusion. It just means feeling excited in Japanese. I explained, causing both Anya and Selena to exclaim in realization. Selena lowered her body a bit, making her cleavage prominent. She lazily put her arms on the table and shot me a seductive glance. It makes sense that you know Japanese. I don't even question it anymore. Why do you think that? I asked in confusion as I mimicked her. She was a bit taken aback, but then she showed an intrigued smile. Well, you're a genius, right? You said you know a few languages in your interviews before. Oh. How many of my interviews have you watched? A lot of them, she said while slightly touching my forearm. I glanced at Taylor, whom I noticed was watching us, but to my confusion, she was smiling. On the other side of me, however, Selena was feeling deep chills behind her back and had goosebumps all over her body. But I was also bothered by Taylor's lack of reaction to whatever this was. It made me wonder if she either just trusted me a lot, or just didn't actually care about me. It made me want to flirt with Selena more. Toxic Edward, lol. While I was mulling everything over, the waitresses entered the hall carrying silver trays and went to each table to present the first course. The entree, the waitress said while putting the silver tray in front of me and opening the cover: Devonshire crab, smoked haddock, and Granny Smith apple. Despite the long name, the portion of the food was actually pitiful. It was barely a bite, and most of the stuff on the plate was for appearances. I didn't comment on the food because I didn't have any prior expectations for it. It was the fashion industry. Pepper, however, smiled brightly as he ate his share. Oh, it's a superb combination, he mumbled to himself. After finishing the entree, the waitresses cleared up the plates to prepare for the next course. I tried to strike up a conversation with Taylor a few times, but she was being indifferent. And when she told me to go talk to Selena, I finally understood what happened. Damn, she's jealous, I muttered with a smile. Why is she acting so weird today? I asked Selena after I saw Taylor talking with an actress. Selena's eyes darted between Taylor and I before she sighed. Even I don't know. Don't you have any clues? I asked her again. Selena thought for a while before saying, maybe. She took out her phone and referred to her past conversation with Taylor. Of course, she didn't let me peek at any of it because she deemed the conversation between girls a private thing between them. I completely understood that. Even I didn't want anyone to check the boys-only chat group I made with Jacob, Abraham, and Phineas. Just to be clear, we didn't talk about what women would think we might talk about. But, if any of our cartoon crush discussions leaked out, we would bury our heads in the ground in shame. Selena then said, no. She didn't say anything weird. I sighed and I looked into Taylor's direction with a worried expression. The gala dinner finished after an hour and we could finally walk around the hall. Pepper went to mingle while I got an idea to have some fun. Come with me. I grabbed Taylor's hand and escorted her. We got a lot of looks, but I ignored them all. Waku waku, Anya Taylor-Joy exclaimed to herself as she watched the drama. We went to the middle of the dance floor as soon as the dance started. My lady, can I have this dance? I asked with a charming smile while holding her hand. She giggled with a blushing face and then replied, you can. The music was slowly getting started, and we stared at each other's eyes as we danced. General POV. While Edward and Taylor were dancing in each other's arms, one undercover paparazzi that disguised himself as a waiter to get into the venue was crouching at the second floor of the hall to snap pictures of celebrities. Nice. I'm going to make a lot of money from this, he muttered to himself as his camera focused on the sight of Edward and Taylor dancing together. Hey! You shouldn't be here. A security guard caught him from behind. Fuck! He cursed and tried to slip away, but he stumbled on his own leg and fell to the floor. His camera fell from the second floor and shattered. And oh. He wailed in misery as he saw his potential money-making pictures and data were destroyed. While the hidden paparazzi was wailing, an independent photographer named Matt Flamhalf, 13 going on 30 movie, who was hired to take pictures at the awards ceremony before, saw the scene of Taylor and Edward dancing together. Then, he subconsciously snapped the picture of the two of them even though he knew that he wasn't supposed to. Damn it! He cursed himself. But when he checked the photo, for him, that photo was too good to be deleted. What should I do? He muttered. Maybe I should call their company and see if they want this picture? Edward POV. I could sense that someone was peeping at the second floor, so I alerted the guards to handle them before I went to dance with Taylor, as I wanted to give all my attention to her. For a few minutes, I saw the most beautiful smile as we danced together. Honestly, it made my heart beat quicker when I saw it. But we didn't dance till the end. After the song ended, we went back to our table. Then, I asked, "Want to do something bad?" Although a bit hesitant, Taylor couldn't hide the smile on her face. "What are we going to be doing?" she asked carefully. "We are going to sneak out of here," I replied as I made sure that Pepper didn't notice us. She widened her eyes in surprise. "What? And leave the gala?" "Yes," I replied with a sly smirk. "To be honest with you, I'm completely bored here. And the event is already over anyway." "That's right, but still, only the two of us?" Taylor was hesitant to leave Selena behind. "Ah, I forgot about her. Text her to meet us at the parking lot. But, wait, before we leave, should we do something big?" Taylor's eyes gleamed as she heard my plan, and at this moment, whatever had been plaguing her was thrown out of her mind. She giggled mischievously, thinking about how much of a headache Pepper was going to get after we left. "Let's go," I muttered after Taylor had got in contact with Selena and told her about the situation. In front of the venue, a sea of paparazzi was standing by with their hands on the camera shutter as they waited for the guests to leave. As soon as the door was opened, they snapped their photos immediately. Taylor and I ran quickly while holding our hands together, causing the paparazzi to sense the smell of big news. "Edward, Taylor, are you guys dating? When can we see your collaboration? Edward, look over here." They called out the both of us multiple times. As we ran, a black SUV quickly stopped by at the end of the red carpet. The door opened quickly, revealing Selena that was sitting inside. Taylor and I quickly hopped on the car and the driver left the scene quickly while the paparazzis were chasing us. Taylor laughed out loud and said, "That was fun." "Where are we going?" Selena asked with a smile. I gave the driver the address for the after-party, which was held nearby. The models gathered inside a standing bar, with adequate lighting and also a band for entertainment. "We need to change first," Selena said. "There's no way I'm going over there in this dress." All of us thought the same way. We were kinda overdressed for this kind of party. Well, lucky for us. I have thought about it before we got in the car. I muttered with a smirk and pointed to the change of clothes in the back seat. "Should we stop by somewhere to change?" I asked them. "There's no need for that. I have perfected the skill of changing inside a car," Taylor muttered. Selena joined in, "Me too." "Or, are you too embarrassed to change in front of us?" Selena added mischievously. Do you think you can tease me like that? How about this? We all change together at the same time, and the first person to look away loses? What's the punishment?" Taylor asked. "Anything the winner says," I replied with a smirk. Selena protested, "That's unfair to me. You guys." Then she whispered to make sure the driver didn't hear us, "You guys have seen each other naked before." We laughed it off, and then we started to change our clothes. And unsurprisingly, Selena was the one who lost the game. Her eyes were affixed on me when I changed my shirt, but she looked away in embarrassment as I changed my pants. "Edward, you're here." Astrid, the model that I met before in the changing room, greeted me cheerfully as Taylor, Selena, and I entered the club. The band was singing the song, Blink-182 What's My Age Again, after we got in, which made me feel a bit weird. "They are not throwing this at me, right?" I asked. Astrid burst into laughter, seemingly a bit drunk. She held my arm intimately and said, "You're just overthinking it. Come on. Let's have some fun." Taylor then glared at Astrid, but the model wasn't backing down. Taylor then said to me, "Sure, but Edward shouldn't be drinking." "I know that." Astrid said with a smug look on her face. However, a few minutes later, I was already on my second glass of champagne as I walked around the clubroom. I danced with Taylor and Selena, and partied with the girls for a little while. The party soon became sparse as people were leaving to either have sex or get some rest. There were less than 10 people inside the room, including the 3 band members playing a slow song. I looked at the slightly drunk Taylor and asked, "Hey, are you okay?" "Yeah, I can still drink." "That's not what I meant. You seem a bit weird today." I brushed her stray hair behind her ear. She looked at me with a flushed face, both from the alcohol and being a bit shy. She suddenly received a text from someone, causing her to pull herself away. I got a text too at the same time, and I smiled as I saw the link to the article that Pepper had sent me. The photo of Taylor and I dancing together had been viral, and was causing a frenzied reaction from our shippers. I turned to Taylor to share it with her, but saw that her face was pale. She stood up and walked out of the club without saying anything. What just happened?" I muttered. Selena, who was sitting nearby, shrugged as she also had no clue about the whole thing. I decided to follow Taylor outside of the club. I was shocked when I caught her wiping her eyes, and was trying to hide her appearance from me when I saw it. "Taylor? What's wrong?" I asked with concern. Taylor tried to run, but I guided her to the wall before releasing her arm. Before she could recollect herself, I placed my hand to the wall, preventing her from escaping. I gazed intently into her eyes, causing her to gulp her saliva. I asked, "Mind telling me what's going on?" Her heart beat quicker from anger and she clenched her fist. "Ed, I admire you, but things won't work out between us." I was confused as to what nonsense she was talking about, but I let her speak and didn't interrupt her. Seeing my silent reaction, she became angrier and said, "I'm breaking up with you." "You can't." "Why not?" "Because we never dated," I said. Taylor opened her mouth, but then she realized that what I said was true. "Then, that makes it easier, right?" she said with a choked-up voice. I rubbed my chin in contemplation, thinking about why she was acting this way. "Does this have something to do with your agency?" I asked. She flinched and hugged her body. "I don't know what you mean." "Oh. So I'm right, huh?" I muttered as I could sense I was right based on her body language. "Is someone holding something over you?" I asked, causing her face to turn pale. "Or maybe, blackmailing you, and it had something to do with me? Like, they want you to stay away from me?" "Oh. I'm right. Let's see, got it. That bastard Joseph, huh? He's the only one who I can't get to in the negotiation. So I wonder if he said that he's going to ruin your career or..." I studied Taylor's face, and I shocked myself again when I noticed that I was right at the first guess. Taylor POV. What should I do? He's getting too close. The powerlessness I'd been feeling for days made my knees weak and my throat closed up. When he almost guessed it, a glimmer of light shone in my otherwise dark thoughts. However, fake hope hurts more than the cruel reality. And the reality was, if I needed to choose between my career and being with him, I'd choose my career. I have dreamed of becoming an artist since I was a kid, and I just met Edward a few months ago. This was all because I met him too soon. If only I met him later in the future. Then, maybe the situation would be better. Maybe I would have the strength to follow my heart then. I ran outside of the club because I got a text from my agency's vice director, telling me that he needed my decision before tomorrow, as he saw the link of me spending time with Edward at the gala. Fuck him. Fuck. I cursed as soon as I got out of the club. The moment I was blackmailed, I became determined. I would follow the agency's instructions for now, and cultivate my own reputation without depending on anyone else. When I finally have enough power to stand alone, I would burn down the agency to the ground. I vowed to enact revenge, and my spite filled me with boundless rage. Yeah, I was angry with myself. And I was angry with my agency. I was also angry with Edward. I was angry at everything. I hid my raging heart behind my smile as I looked into Edward's eyes. Huh? Edward was confused when he saw my smile. Ed. It was fun. I muttered as I gave up. Yeah, I gave up for now. I no longer had any hope before I came here. Edward was silent for a while before he said, "It was." His face was filled with disappointment, and it made my heart ache. But now, we both know that it's over. I continued despite the pain I was feeling. Edward was looking at me with a worried expression. I brought my arms up and held his face intimately. It just wasn't meant to be. I still want to sing, and if I need to stay away from you. Before you go any further, I should tell you this. Edward interrupted. I looked at him with a hurt smile. He grabbed my hands and lowered them. He said in a cold tone, "It's done. Hendrix already signed the contract. You are now a free artist." What? I widened my eyes in shock. Joseph, or anyone else who's threatening you, don't really have any powers to do anything. Edward continued. I can show you the contract if you want. Ed. I called his name, but I didn't really know what to say. It was supposed to be a great thing for us, but the situation right now has become awkward because I wanted to break the relationship off before. Right then, his cold face melted and he showed a teasing smile. Wait. Are you crying? Of course I am crying, you dumbass. I shouted at him. How could he be so crude with a girl's feelings? The more he laughed, the madder I felt. Then, he hugged me. He patted my back softly as my head was pressed against his chest. Oh, you poor girl, he said, causing me to cry harder and ruin all of my makeup. A sense of relief washed all over me. I think that's why I could care about my appearance right now. I slowly pushed Edward away, and then looked him in the eye. Then, I leaned in and kissed his lips. As we separated, I muttered, Edward. Thanks. I know there's a lot we need to talk about, but, just for this moment, can we just be together? Edward then smiled even though his eyes were telling me that he was hurt. Come on. I'll accompany you back to your place. He didn't say anything, and I felt both guilty and thankful for that. Right now, there was too much on my mind. Maybe I'll get a fresh start tomorrow and could be braver. God knows I needed that. Chapter 170, Tour begins. Edward POV. After I sent Taylor home, I went back to my place and turned on my laptop. Joseph, right. Just you fucking wait. I murmured with rage in my eyes. I didn't even sleep that night, and when the morning came, I worked out tremendously to calm down my emotions. What are you doing? My dad asked. Waiting, I said while doing shirtless push-ups. For? He asked, a bit intrigued. For you to get to work before I can finally be at peace. That's a little hurtful. I realized that I had accidentally released my pent-up anger at him, so I apologized. Sorry. Want to talk to Dr. Linda? He asked. You go talk to her. I exploded after he kept badgering me and lingering around. I went to the entertain company in the afternoon to settle Taylor's signing with our agency. When I met with Taylor, she smiled and tried to act like usual, but I knew that she was still feeling awkward about the whole thing. She was feeling anxious because she blurted out that she was going to abandon me, and provided no explanation about that. And I was also anxious because I wanted to hear the details to understand her better. But as we didn't communicate with each other, the air between us kept getting colder and colder. We sat next to each other in the meeting room with Harvey, Pepper, and Taylor's lawyer. All right. Taylor, we will give you the same contract as Edward, but you need to understand that his extra % of the income was based on his ability to create his own melody and produce his own songs, so it won't be exactly the same. Harvey explains simply. Taylor didn't talk as she read the contract. Harvey then continued, but, the conditions for the extras will be there if you decide to fully create your songs. We won't discriminate against you, so don't worry about it. Taylor smiled brightly and then said, let's talk about employee benefits. Will I be able to choose who I'm dating? Sure. But keep it on the down low when you are still trying to get to know each other. If you decide to get serious, then we can reveal it. This is just a suggestion, not a rule. Pepper said with a sly smile as he glanced at the both of us. Taylor and I automatically turned towards each other, and then we decided something inwardly. After the signing process, we told each other what we had decided to do. Let's just keep things the way it is for now, Taylor said. I agreed with her and added, yeah. Besides, we won't be seeing each other much for months. That's true. Who knows what will happen during that time? Taylor muttered with a nervous smile. Later that night at my house, as I turned on the news, the vice president of a highly rated entertainment agency was arrested earlier this morning for possession of illegal narcotics and heroin inside his apartment. The police stated that they received an anonymous source before they took action. The footage showed Joseph's figure being escorted to the police car with his hands cuffed behind his back. Not only did he try to resist arrest, but police also found multiple incriminating documents in his apartment. The suspect was found to be blackmailing aspiring young girls into having sex with him for a chance in their career, with the numbers of victims in the double-digit figure. I changed the TV channel as I opened up a can of beer before sitting on the couch. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtle in a hard shell. Turtle power. I exclaimed with a smile on my face as I watched the cartoon show. However, as the incident happened, a heavy desire to clean my house grew inside of me. Unfortunately, my house was already clean. Fuck. I cursed before angrily went to tend the garden in front of my house. The sunflowers I had planted when I first decided to change had bloomed. My front yard was filled with the sunflowers, which eased up my frustrations. Needless to say, I keep her in check. She was a bad, nevertheless, yeah. I hummed as I water the sunflowers in the middle of the night. Oh, you guys have waited for this long enough, I said, holding a microphone as I stood in front of my fans. They cheered and applauded as I walked on the stage. In front of me was filled with banners of my name and my posters, which made me smile. Before my tour started, I had plans for a fan meeting, but it was postponed because of my trip to Wisconsin. I wanted to do it online, but I decided to make sure to have a more personal touch in this. We were all inside an auditorium near Pasadena, where more than 500 girls had come to join the fan meeting. Not only that, hundreds more were waiting outside the venue just to catch a glimpse of their new favorite artist. I sat on a tall stool on the stage before the MC let the first girl ask a question. Hey, wait, I know you, I said to the girl, interrupting her. The girl smiled, flattered, and I added, yeah. You came to my school concert. Rebecca, right? The girl squealed before saying, Edward, you're the greatest guy on the planet, . The crowd laughed and I chuckled. She then asked, my question is about your song, Toxic. Did you experience that personally? I gulped some water before replying slowly. Most of the girls just wanted to talk to me, and I had fun with them for a while. Edward, what should we call ourselves as your fan club? Lily, the president of the fan club, asked. I thought seriously. I didn't want something like Beliebers or Swifties, and I wanted something that means a lot to me. Hey, who's here have ever watched the Japanese animation, One Piece? I asked them while raising my hands up. The crowd were confused for a while before I saw some sparsely raised hands from them. You guys might not know this, but that show is my favorite show in the world, I said with a laugh. The fans smiled as they listened intently to my words. Inside the show, there's a character with the same name as I am, the captain of the Whitebeard pirate crew, Edward D. Newgate. If you guys know my dad's business, then you can see where I got the reference for it. The crowd gasped in realization and murmured. Anyway, that character is named the strongest man in the world. Now, I carry the same name as him, so I may not be able to be the strongest man, but I want to strive to be the best performer in the world. So my thoughts are like this. Just for you guys, for my fans. I will be the captain, and you guys will be the thing a pirate always dreams of, treasures. How is that? Is that cool? It's not confirmed yet, so if you have any other suggestions, just let me know. I spoke casually. Treasures, hee hee, that's a great name. Lily mumbled to herself. How about newbies? A girl gave a suggestion. That sounds like Bieber's new fan name. Lily shouted quickly to shut down the idea. I was also startled when I heard the name. To be honest, it was pretty great. But I'm pretty sure that the girl who mentioned it was a member of the new dark side of Twitter that has been shipping me and Justin Bieber together. I shuddered at the thought and listened to a few more suggestions. We got Army, New Armada, Gades, Entrain, and a lot more. After a vote, my original idea won. The fan event went for an entire day. I took pictures with the fans, gave out some autographs. I ended up signing everything from papers, albums, posters, shirts, and even in some cases bare skin. Just, don't tattoo it on yourself, okay? I said to the inked goth girl who wanted me to sign her shoulder. Oh ho, but I will. She said excitedly. When I was done with the event, I waited alone in the waiting room as my manager handled my logistics. I checked my phone and was feeling melancholic. Even though I had fun all day today, the people who I wanted to have fun with weren't there. Suddenly, I got tackled from behind by a human wolf cub hybrid. The tackle was so strong that I actually fell from the chair. Both of us rolled on the ground before I finally found out who the culprit was. Ouch, motherfuck, wait, Enid. Ed. Miss me? She lunged towards me and hugged me again, properly this time. She kept jumping around in excitement, making my dopamine and serotonin levels go up. Why are you back so early? I asked her in surprise. Well, I didn't want to miss your concert tour opening, silly. She admonished me. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but everyone else is coming back too. That's already a spoiler. I grinned as I watched her face slowly turn pale from the realization. When I returned to my home, Jenna, Jacob and Elsa, Abraham, Phineas and Billy were all already waiting in my living room. Congrats, ED. They cheered for me the moment I walked in. General POV. Edward Newgate's first concert tour venue was located at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. A building seating around 20,000 people, and tickets were sold out in 10 minutes after sales went online. I'm a little bit nervous. Edward looked at the girl standing behind him in confusion. He was already equipped with the earpiece and outfit to perform today. I'm the one performing, why are you the one who's nervous? He teased. Haley grunted, I'm nervous for you. Go on, Ed. Break a leg. She urged him to go quickly as the staff members were already calling him. I still can't believe I missed out on your dad coming back while wearing "If you ain't white, you ain't right" shirt. Edward muttered gloomily. Well, I don't want to do this, but... Haley took out her phone and showed Edward the photo she took of her dad wearing that highly insensitive shirt. Edward laughed out loud and said, Thanks, Haley. That made all of my nervousness disappear. Haley blushed and then urged him to go there quickly. Joe. Give it up for the one and only Edward. No guttee. The MC shouted exaggeratedly. Edward laughed and waved Haley off before he got on stage. The second he entered, the crowd cheered thunderously to welcome him. Edward held an electric guitar before saying, Hello everyone. I dash. Before he could finish, the crowd let out a deafening cheer, prompting him to stop and smile at their enthusiasm. Wow, 20,000 people. To be honest with you guys, I really didn't expect this to happen to me. I'm really glad you guys are all here, and I'm looking forward to spending the rest of the evening performing my best for you guys. We love you, Edward. Jenna and Enid, who were sitting on the VIP seats, shouted while raising Edward's name banner. Gloria, Jay and Manny, who were seated nearby, also cheered for him. Gloria. Jay called before taking pictures of Gloria and Manny. Too bad Cam and Mitch couldn't be here to see it. Manny said. Too bad? That's the best part. Why do you think I'm taking the pictures? It's to rub it in their faces. Jay muttered gleefully. Mitchell and Cam couldn't make it to the first day of the tour because Lily had a fever. Phil and Claire were also there, but they had the privilege of watching the show from the staff's location, together with Camila and Ted. Selena and Taylor also came to support Edward, but they didn't go backstage. Edward takes a deep breath before saying, "Thank you all for your support. Please enjoy my first song that I'd written especially for you guys who came to the first day of the concert, Counting Stars." The crowd cheered and was flattered when they heard it, and then they became silent as they awaited the performance. One Republic, Counting Stars. Edward grabbed his mic and started singing.
Lately I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be.
He glanced at Taylor's direction, and she was looking intently at him.
Baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars.
Pepper smiled as he thought about the drive back from the studio in the desert with Edward where they could see the river of stars. The crowd cheered explosively before Edward took a step forward to the edge of the stage.
Like a swinging vine, swing my heart across the line. In my face is flashing signs, seek it out and ye shall find.
Phil overanalyzed again. Life is a roller coaster of disappointment and happiness. Edward is becoming more profound day by day. Claire and Alex looked at Phil in disbelief.
Old, but I'm not that old. Young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think the world is sold. I'm just doing what we're told.
The crowd started to dance together with Edward, who was dancing lightly on the stage. The atmosphere heats up instantly, and Penny, who attends the concert with her female friends, shouted in excitement. Woo!
I feel something so right, doing the wrong thing. And I feel something so wrong, doing the right thing. I could lie. Everything that kills me makes me feel alive.
The crowd shouted thunderously as the beats dropped.
I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard.
Edward raised his hand to the sky.
Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Hey.
Oh my God. I am in love with the song. Elsa muttered. What about me, baby? Jacob asked fearfully. Mrs. Henderson, who was standing amongst the crowd, smiled at Edward's growth and said, "Goodbye, Edward." Edward smiled at the crowd. His skin glistened with sweat as he walked to the left side of the stage.
I feel the love and I feel it burn down this river every turn. Hope is our four-letter word. Make that money, watch it burn.
Claire smiled and joked, "He's making all that cash to burn? No wonder he's been working crazily for money." "Mom, that's not funny," Alex retorted.
But I'm not that old, young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think the world is sold. I'm just doing what we're told. And I feel something so wrong. We're doing the right thing. I could lie. Everything that drowns me makes me wanna fly.
6 days of tour at the Staples Center, and Edward performed to over 100,000 people.
I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars.
After that, it was non-stop traveling and performing for him. He didn't spend time like his peers, spending summer at the beach or going to the amusement park.
I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard, sitting no more counting dollars. We'll be counting stars.
He slept for only 4 hours per day. His schedule was busy with fan meets, interviews, meeting important people, and performing.
Oh, take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned.
Without him realizing it, summer was already over.
Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned.
When he finally arrived in New York, the one person he wanted to meet there didn't come to see him. Rather, he only met her mom, Desire.
Everything that kills me makes me feel alive.
His face carried traces of fatigue, but he gave his all during his performances. From dancing, to interacting with the fans. Performing during the rain, and also while it was very hot outside.
I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard, said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars.
When school finally started again, Haley was concerned when Edward missed out on the entire first week of school.
I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard, said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sing in the river the lessons I learned.
While others were studying, Edward was conducting interviews and was going to attend various awards programs. His life had become so different from his friends that it was hard for him to even talk to them. I hope Edward will come back soon. Haley muttered as she waited for him to reply to her texts. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.